Stanford University.
Okay, well, welcome to CS 193P, Winter 2015. This is lecture number 3. This is going to be all demo today. My voice is mostly recovered from last week, not 100% as you can tell, but it's getting there. So what we're going to be doing today is a demo. We're going to extend our calculator a little bit. We're going to make it more powerful, but more importantly, we're going to have it obey this MVC design paradigm. Okay, so it's a pretty good example of showing how we're going to separate the stuff into the camps here. And we're going to cover a bunch of other things, language features and stuff, as I always do. That's really the primary goal of these first 3 lectures worth of demos. It's just for you to see it in action, because you can read all you want about Swift or about iOS, but until you actually see it turning into an app, it's not real. So I'm just trying to make it real for you. I'm going to go to my last slide, because once I go to the demo, I'll forget to come back, which is just what's coming up in this class. On Wednesday, it's going to be no demo. It's going to be all slides. It's going to be one of the few lectures where it's all slides. But what I'm going to try to do on Wednesday is give you the highlights of all this reading that you're doing, okay? Because you're reading a lot of stuff, and it's sometimes hard to tell what's really important in there and what's not. So I'm going to kind of give you the highlights, and so you can get an idea of what's important. And then I'm also going to start talking about some of the foundation layer API in iOS. That's the non-user interface layer, basically, and kind of what some of the classes are in there. And then also just a little bit of how we use the language features of Swift and Foundation in iOS, so that you kind of get it's kind of your, next Wednesday's lecture, this is going to be your baseline lecture. It's going to kind of get you grounded in how to do all this stuff. And then next week, we'll start diving in to building more sophisticated iOS applications. Okay, I know this is kind of a whirlwind first 2 weeks. You're learning a new language, a whole new system, but hopefully by the end of this week and the end of your second assignment, which will go out on Wednesday, you'll be pretty confident that you at least have a solid ground foundation to build from. No pun intended there. There's a holiday weekend this weekend. No Friday section and no class on Monday, and so we'll resume next Wednesday. And the primary thing I'm going to do the next Wednesday, not the day after tomorrow, but the next Wednesday, is talk a little more about auto layout, because you've only just seen kind of a glimpse of auto layout so far, and I haven't even really told you how to do auto layout, and so you're kind of just fumbling around and kind of trying to reproduce what I do. So next Wednesday we'll talk about how to really do auto layout and all that. Okay, any questions before I dive into this demo? Hopefully my voice will hold out. I can already hear it starting to not hold out, but we will see. All right, so I'm going to just go to Xcode here, launch Xcode, and we're going to leave off right where we were last time in the calculator. Here it is right here. And so here's our UI. Hopefully you recognize that and you just did your homework, I hope. And here is this area that I selected at the end, which is this area that's really this is not about how the calculator gets presented on screen. This blue area is about how the calculator is a calculator. Okay, this is where all our calculations are. And this blue area really shouldn't be in this class, this view controller class, because this is the C of our MVC, okay? In our MVC, this is the C, this is the V, the view. These are the minions that this controller is using. And today we're going to create the M, okay, the model. The model is going to be what our application is, which is it's a calculator, okay? We're also going to enhance our calculator. The primary new feature we're going to give our calculator is that our calculator's model is going to remember every operand and operation you ever ask it to do. Okay? So right now, as we do operations, we consume all the operands. Okay? They consumed, they're gone. So in this case, we're going to actually collect all the operations and operands in a stack, and then we can ask the model to evaluate that stack of operations and operands at any time we want. And the reason we're adding that ability is because of your homework, assignment number 2. You're going to add 2 major features where having all the operands and operations in a stack is going to be really valuable to you. So you'll be starting your second homework with what I do today, because you'll need this capability to do what I asked you there. Okay, and I'll talk about that at the end. If I forget to talk about that, remind me. Say, tell us about assignment 2. Okay, so how do we create a new class? Because we're going to put our model, okay, the calculator kind of gets its guts in a different class. So how do we create a new class? In Xcode, we do that up here from the File menu. We go New File. So you're going to do File menu, New File for a lot of different things you're going to add to your project, not even just new classes or whatever. But when you click that, you're going to see there's a lot of different things you could add. And we're in iOS, so you're going to click on this iOS thing at the top. And we want to add a source file. And over here, we're going to be doing this later in the quarter. This is how we basically add subclasses of iOS classes, Cocoa Touch classes. But we're going to do today this one, Swift file. You can see it says an empty Swift file. And since our model is completely UI independent, it doesn't inherit, it doesn't subclass any iOS class or anything. It's just a basic Swift file. So I'm going to pick on this Swift file, click Next. And now it wants to know the name of it and where we want to put it. And we're going to put it in the same place that all our other Swift files are. Here's our controller. And this app delegate, we moved it out of the way at the very beginning of the very first lecture, but it's in there too. So we want to put it in this same directory. And we're going to call this new class Calculator Brain. Now, you don't have to have the name of the Swift file here be the name of the primary class, but we always do that. It would be kind of confusing to people a little bit if the name of the Swift file was different than whatever the primary class is in there. But it's certainly legal, all right? In Swift, the name of the file really doesn't mean anything. It's what's inside that matters. But Calculator Brain is going to be the name of our class, our model. I'm calling it that because it's the brain of our calculator. I'm trying to pick a descriptive name. Notice the capitalization here. Types in Swift, we always capitalize them. And we do not put underbars and other stuff in there. Okay, we use what's called this camel notation here, where every word gets capitalized, including the first word for types. Everything else, we don't capitalize. So property names and things like that, function names, those always start with lowercase. They still do the uppercase of the other words. That way, in our reading our code, we can really quickly pick out what's a type and what's not. Okay, so please adhere to that. If you don't, you're going to look like a noob out there. Okay, Calculator Brain is what we're going to call it. I'm going to create it. Here it is right here. I'm going to make it my whole screen. You can see that the import here is not import UI kit, it's import foundation.